Welcome to this channel. This is Hendrik. Today I like to share with you scientifically determined internal and external training. This is a really important concept that one must have for training in Chinese Kungfu, in meditations, and in Qigong, and in healing art. Now, in the previous video, I have shared that when one trains the Chinese Kungfu, Qigong meditations, if it is for the combat or fighting purpose, the bottom line is momentum handling. If it is for the internal, for health, for strengthening the body, then it is physiological state handling. Will one be able to enter into the physiological state, particular proper physiological state? Now today we want to look into internal and external training, because this is the uniqueness of ancient traditional Chinese Kungfu, Qigong, healing art, and meditations. Okay, now let me share with you why is this internal and external training is needed. Now, we take an example of training in high intense sports such as football, MMA. Those are high intensity sports. Well, not everybody can train in high intensity sports due to everybody have a different health condition. So with a health condition which is not at the level of needed to train the high intensity sports, one must not train it. If one train it, one will end up to get injury. That can be verified with today's medicines and science. Now, the ancient Chinese have this internal training is to help the person who do not have a qualified physical health, so that he might be able to do the high intensity training. So for example, if somebody want to train in MMA, but his body is not up to that level, he cannot train. Then one need to train the internal training, so to build out the body, so that the body have to get up to the conditions that suitable for training the high intensity sport, or like the football or like the MMA. So there's one thing on the internal training. The other thing which is important is that even with the person who have really good health, born strong, can train in the high intensity sports, internal training is helping them to aware of their body and be able to recover their body when they are having a really high intensity training. So in internal training, there are two purposes. One is to raise the conditions of a weaker person up to the level they can do high intensity training. Another is let the healthy person be able to recover fast after their high intensity training, or be able to know their body and be able to handle their high intensity training better without overloading themselves or injured themselves. So that is why the internal training is so unique in the traditional Chinese Kungfu, Qigong, meditations, or healing arts. Okay? Now, so the Chinese have a saying, they said, 外练筋骨皮, which means externally you train the muscle, your bone, and your skin. Well, it's just like today we train the muscle endurance, cardiovascular endurance. That's what it is. And they're saying that here, 内练一口气, or 内练精气神, internally train the breathing, or internally train the essence, the energy, and the spirit. So this is, we all heard about this thing. This is external art, this is internal art. Now, so how can we know? Are we really developed or trained in internal art? Because obviously, if we do not know what exactly is internal art, it's going to default into the external art. If we don't know how to do this, right? The Chinese do have a definition clearly and accurately to define what is internal training is about. So the definition is like this: 全身不可着力量, which means the entire body need to be loose, not use strength at all. 一任自然顺气脉, let the breathing and the energy of the body flow naturally. Leave the energy and the breathing of the body alone so that it flow naturally. So again, this is like you lose up every part of the body, including your internal organs. This is, if I use an analogy, say you're breathing like it's a fish. You let the fish swim freely and openly in the pond or in the river without any manipulations or any control of that fish. So breathing can be seen like a fish. You just drop the fish into the water in the river and let the fish swim as it is. Okay? So this is the definitions of what is a internal training based on. In any internal training, it has to satisfy this definition, or else it default into external training. Okay? So, as for in last video, I shared on the internal training is about entering into the physiological state or different state. That's what it is. You need to enter into this state as described in order to qualify or in order to train internally. Okay. Now, so what is it? How is it possible? What does it feel like? So if we look around, many people will talk about this. Very rare they know this. And even people who know this, very rare they know how to get into that state. You want to train internal, you need to be able to enter into the physiological state of internal. Well, in my book, Wing Chun Inception, this thing can be experienced with the natural Qi development process, which is the N1 process. The N1 process. So if one follows this N1 process, one will be able to get into the state of the entire body is loose, including the internal organs, and the breathing and the energy is swim like a fish in a river freely. So that is the N1 process. Now, there is a process. Now we want to ask, how to determine that we really have get into that state? Scientifically, right? We cannot say, oh, you just do this, this is the process, and then you get into it. Well, today, we can actually using heart rate and heart rate variability to determine whether we be able to get there or not, be able to experience this or not. So as in Wing Chun Inception, the N1 process, if one do it properly, following the process, N1 process, then one will see one's heart rate drop. One's heart rate variability will increase. Okay? Sure, one will feel that one's body is loose and the breathing is naturally flow or run like a fish in the river freely. However, one be able to track, monitor the heart rate. Okay? So, in today's scientific way, externally train the muscle, the bone, the skin, like the muscular endurance, the cardio endurance. That is like this. Your heart rate go high. Your heart rate is increasing. For the internal, if you get into the N1 states, your heart rate from the normal will get down to the resting heart rate, like your sleeping heart rate, to the minimum. When one be able to achieve that, then one know. One actually have the taste of the internal training. The first taste of internal training. One know what is going on with this. And thus one be able to enter into this state as needed. In the Wing Chun Inception, this was done in laying down. Why laying down? Because one needs to use the most easy way to experience. The body is loose and the energy and breathing is flow freely state. One need to experience that. Without experience that, one don't know. But so laying down is the easiest way to experience this, or to be able to enter into this state, the internal state. Only after this, one can train in standing. So one develop the experience of this state, and then one can further carry into standing. And one be able to monitor this, monitor the heart rate. Okay? So it's no longer about I make a claim, but it's scientifically be able to prove. Am I there or am I not there? Do I know or do I not know? Okay? Now, the teacher can check the student, and one can check oneself. And as soon as one not be able to get into that state, then it's a time to see our doctor for health checkup. Okay? That's how the Chinese do. When they cannot get into that, body must be something wrong. So they go check up. Now, those who train properly in traditional Chinese martial arts, or Qigong, or the healing art, their characteristic is they be able, from the normal heart rate going down to the resting heart rate, or even deeper resting heart rate, and then be able to go up to external heart rate, like doing this stuff, and then be able to rest and get their heart rate down for their recovery. Okay? So this is how the internal or external training can be scientific determined. If you train and your heart rate is keeping go high, you know those are external stuff. Internal stuff meaning that the heart rate be able to go down. As soon as one get into this, the entire body and which include the internal organ is loose up. You let the breathing run by itself freely, like the fish swimming happily, freely in the river. Your heart rate will go down. Okay? So with this today, you know the training of ancient Chinese Kungfu, meditations or martial arts or healing arts. If you want to train for combat, then it's handling of momentum. If you want to train for internal, then you need to be able to enter the states and switching states as you need. Externally is for training, helping your muscle endurance and cardio and so forth. However, if you are not up to that level to be able to train the high intensity sports or martial art, then you go to the internal, where you can drop your heart rate, get into the resting state or the nurture chi states, and you always can monitor with your heart rate. That's why having a heart rate monitor is very important for people who practice Chinese Kung Fu, be it martial art, Qigong, healing art, and or the meditation. Because if you want to do, say, healing art, you need to see, did your heart rate going down or going up? If you practice some Qigong or anything, the heart rate going up, or you practice some internal thing where claim to be internal thing, like doing sets, okay? These days people doing sets, or this is the internal sets. You look at that. Is that heart rate going down or going up? Or the set be able to let one handle going down and going up and let it stable down. All internal real training be able to do that. However, the external training will have no control on the decreasing to the deep breaths in their heart rate. So this is to share with you. And Wing Chun Inceptions is not just for Wing Chun. It presents the essence of ancient Chinese Kungfu meditations and healing art, Qigong training, and map it into scientific way. Only this way we have the quality training and we really know what we are doing and we really can get the result. So this is what I like to share with you today. This channel, we want to help everybody to train more effective, efficiently, and get result. To help everybody so that we don't screw up our own body. And we want to stick close to what the teaching of ancient Chinese culture